You're listening to the Occupational Philosophers with Simon Banks and John Rice.
Hi, and welcome to the Occupational Philosophers, a not-so-serious business podcast designed to spark your curiosity, creativity and imagination. And this is an Inbetweener episode, which is a short, sharp burst of inspiration and chat. Simon, what are we talking about this time?
Well, what's caught my eye this week, John, we talk about this a lot, is the half-baked idea. Now, the reason why it's caught my idea, and we also mentioned Seth Godin a little bit on this podcast, and he sends a blog out every day, so pretty impressive. But the title of his blog was The Half-Baked Idea. And so as I read on, it was actually referencing Peter Jackson has made a new, very lengthy documentary about the Beatles recording their last album. And look, I'm not a Beatles expert, and I appreciate people will be listening to this, and there's a whole bunch of one side or the other, so we don't want to open that Pandora's box. But he said in this that everyone had a different method for getting this idea, getting this album out. People were, upset, mopey, too perfectionist, all this type of stuff. But I like his song. He said, Paul wants the group to be excited. He wants George to be happy. Most of all, he wants John to like his songs. That's his fuel. And Paul's practice is simple. Bring the work forward. Play a song before it's ready, because in the moment before it's ready, that's when it's ready. By bringing music that's half-baked to the table, he takes a risk. He takes a risk with John and George, etc., etc. It means the room might not feel it, but the risk is worth it, because the half-baked work shared in a trusting environment is the fuel for the system that created the works of genius. And that's just a little piece from a quite lengthy blog, which we'll post also on our show notes. But that line, John, at the end, or a couple of lines, bring the work forward, play a song before it's ready. The risk is worth it, because the half-baked work shared in a trusting environment is fuel for the system that created the work of genius.
There you go. So, and bringing this into the theme in this show, Simon, about in the workplace, in the organizations that we work in and the teams that we're part of, this is really important, isn't it? The abilities to bring half-baked ideas forward. We've talked about this before.
We've talked about it a lot, and it's that piece around that creative confidence, that psychological safety. Just think of something you've been mulling over in your head. You've been on a run, you've been in the shower, you've been out in the pub for a few friends. There's been a little spark of something that's caught your eye, your curiosity. It's only 10% there. However, it could be the start of something big if you feel confident enough to share it.
And so this comes back to as you say, the inner confidence, the abilities to face down your ogres and voice it in the first place. And then the second is the environment in which that half-baked idea is pitched. And that's then where the people around you have to make sure it gets oxygen.
Yeah, and then that oxygen creates that fuel for that idea to go forward. Because there's two ways of responding to an idea. Tell me more. Tell me more about that. I'm curious about that. Where did you come up with that? Why do you think that's interesting? Or we can be like the poor family that drops the barbecued chicken on the beach and the seagulls go, rah, and pull it to pieces.
What? I'm not getting that one. You've got a bit Eric Cantona on me.
Okay, so no, I was in our little town one day. I saw a family at the beach, and they brought like a barbecued chicken. They're going to make some rolls and different things. So normal, pretty, you're out on a picnic. The problem is they dropped the barbecued chicken onto the sand, and the seagulls just came down and destroyed it, like in seconds. It was gone. And I thought that's a metaphor for ideas.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. So bring your barbecued chicken to the meeting, and then hope that the rest of the people there, when you show it or drop it on the table, don't start picking it apart and savaging it. Before you've had a chance to do something good with it. Yeah.
Not bring your barbecued chicken. Just make sure you're not the seagull. That's the better way to say it. When something shared which is half baked, be not the seagull, John.
Yeah. Okay. Another hashtag in the making. Do not be the seagull. Yeah. Or be not.
But you know what I'm talking about, yeah? Like we see this, someone suggests something, we all lean in and we listen for what's not good about it. But what idea is born perfectly formed ever? And just
Indeed.
The way Mr. Godin says it, that it's that tension which we spoke about in previous podcasts, that tension of that, how that half-baked idea turns out. And I've got a really good example of this, and I use this a lot.
Uh-huh.
So, John, just listen to my story just for a few minutes. There is a company in Canada called Powers, Poles and Lines, so an electricity company, and they provide power in Canada and also down into the northern part of the United States. As you know, United States in the winter, very cold in those northern parts. So one of their key problems is they get ice on the lines and also the power nodes or whatever you might say. Someone has to go up manually, chip it off with a hammer. Pretty dangerous, not the greatest work, pretty cold. They were brainstorming on this in a meeting, and this is my version how I've read about it, weren't getting anywhere. So they go outside, a bit more relaxed, having a coffee, that type of thing. And someone said, you know what? I was chased by a bear the other day working on the lines. Okay. And I had to climb up the pole to escape the bear. And someone said, well, wouldn't that be great if the bears just climbed up the poles and shook it so all of the ice would fall off because, they're 300 kilo. And someone said, well, how would we get it there? And they said, well, you'd have to put some honey on the line. And they said, well, how would you do that? Because the raccoons would just go up and get it. And the next suggestion was, well, you'd fly over with a helicopter and put it right on the top so where the bears could go up in a pot. And then someone said, well, I tell you what, when I was a nurse in Vietnam, when the helicopter flew over, the downdraft was so massive, you had to hold the tent down and everything because the force was so strong. But bing, someone said, ooh, why don't we fly a helicopter over to knock the ice off? Which is what they do now because the half-baked idea was, why don't we get a bear to climb up and do it? Building on that, not being the seagull on the chip, someone sharing a suggestion, and that's how they do it. True story.
That's great. That is genuinely a really lovely story of how something seemingly remote of bears climbing up poles translated into using helicopters to dislodge the ice. That's brilliant. Yeah, love it. There we go.
And sometimes in the middle of those half-baked ideas, John, that's where the genius sits. So I know we had a little bit of a run at this. You had a half-baked idea.
I did, yeah. Is that the day spa for chickens?
Yeah, I know. So I thought of, I was thinking about that. I came with my own half-baked idea. It was a deluxe chicken coop for humans.
Hey.
Now, in the middle.
How about? I've got an idea, Simon.
What is it, John?
A day spa for humans.
Oh, how did I miss that? Well, what about a deluxe chicken coop for chickens?
Oh, 2 ideas for the price of
Check
one.
us out.
Boom.
So, be open to sharing the half-baked idea because sometimes in the middle sits that gold. But on a serious note, it's that psychological safety bit. And once an idea is shot down, and there's someone I work with, Dr. Stephen Brown, a very learned man, a very learned professor. Well, not a professor, but he's as smart as a professor. But he was saying he's got a study for everything, like literally almost one of those photographic memories. He said, there's a Harvard study which says, and I can't reference it because I'll get it wrong, but once an idea is shut down, there's an 80% chance that person will never, ever share an idea again. So create that environment for the half-baked idea.
Yeah, don't be a seagull.
So, John, on that, as always, stay curious, have fun, play more, something else, and
make stuff and date life. For goodness sake, it isn't that difficult.